Hi guys, Joe Simpson here. I wanted to talk today about the Easy Grow garden system, in specific the patio garden. A couple months back, I set up my patio garden online with you guys, and I showed you the unpackaging, the instructions, and putting it together. It wasn't a great video. The quality was kind of poor, but it was in the middle of the winter. I didn't have good lighting. I was just kind of in the mood to share the construction of one of the towers, so I figured I'd put it out there. But I got good responses back, and I had some people asking for follow-up to see how well these things work and what are my thoughts now versus when I set them up back in February. I bought one for my mom for Christmas. She has yet to really fully implement and put hers into use, but she's got it all set up. I did it with her. But when I bought hers, I bought one for me. The first one I bought, I already had some seedlings and stuff going in downstairs in my basement. So I put in some lettuce and some herbs and spices and things like that. I went ahead and set up my second one in February because I wanted to do tomatoes and strawberries. So let's talk about the Easy Grow system and some of the things I like and don't like about it. And you guys can be the judge once you see this, what you think. First of all, it's super easy to set up. All the stuff's in the box you need. All the instructions are there. It's complete. It's comprehensive, and it's clear and easy to do. So it's really nice to get something that's well packaged and easy to put together. I did have somebody say they haven't had contact or feedback from the owner. They had ordered some stuff, or they were trying to order some stuff, but they have yet to get their unit or get in contact. So unfortunately, I don't really have much control on that part of it, but hopefully that person found a way to get the system because I really like it. The other thing I like about it, it's compact. It fits in a like 2 foot square. I even have a 2 foot by 2 foot heater, and I use a little draping system and heating system in the wintertime in the garage. Although next year, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think I might just grow some lettuces that can stand the cold and just go for like more just like lettuce growth and things like that in the cold in the garage. They're nice looking. They have, pretty decent build quality. They have, the white ones are well painted. They wouldn't look bad sitting in the corner of a living room or dining room. Or you could put these things pretty much anywhere. The thing I like about the Easy Grow garden system is it allows for indoor gardening. If you have a condo, an apartment, you can't really get outside. You can't get to dirt. You can put these things on a balcony, a stoop, a porch, a sidewalk, whatever you want to do, you could grow with the system. It's virtually autopilot. Basically, you add the water that has the nutrients in it that feeds the plants, and you get it somewhere where it can get light, and the plants and everything will do the rest. So you just have to pay attention to your water levels. The easiest thing to do is to get a little like wooden stick and then just stick it down in your thing. I'm adding water on normal growth plants about once every 2 weeks, and since December, February, I'm about halfway through my nutrient batch, and that's running 2 towers. So I have another set of nutrients that I can put together. So I think you're going to be good for several months with all the nutrients. And you can buy backups and replacements of these nutrients from the seller as well, so you can get some extra and stockpile it for future. Most things grow well in this system. You're not going to have a problem getting growth. Now, I don't know if the chemical composition of the food is going to be right for every plant because all plants are a little bit different. But I can say that most of the stuff that I've tried to grow in here, with the exception of 1 or 2 plant items, they grow pretty well and pretty fast. The other thing I like is you get very rewarding results very quickly. So for a beginner gardener who's a little bit impatient, and that's me, I'm impatient, you're going to get results fast and you're going to be happy. And, I'm sending pictures and bragging to my mom and sending stuff to my sisters and stuff all the time. So it's really a boost of confidence for somebody who's never gardened before. And it kind of gets your mind ready. It gets you thinking about things you wouldn't normally think about as you prepare for actually gardening in the spring and summer outside. So some of the drawbacks, I would say, first and foremost, the price is a little high. I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying that the price might be too high for some people to want to spend, especially on their first go with some gardening. But what you do get is a really nice complete package. So you get a reservoir, you get a pump, you get a pump system, all the piping, the release topper that releases the water back into the plants. You get everything you need to start growing stuff. So it's not, if you were to go piece it out, I bet you would end up not too far off from the price. And some of the stuff's proprietary. These buckets are pretty cool. They have a rolled lip, and I'll explain why that's important later. And I think it's worth it. It's not cheap, but again, it's worth it. Some things just don't grow well in there, and it hasn't been many, but there's been a few things that I put in there that I couldn't really get to go. And I didn't know if it was the chemical composition of the food that I was feeding, or the roots weren't getting down to the water fast enough, so the plants were dying off, or what the situation was. I didn't put a lot of science into it to figure it out. I just gave up on whatever didn't work and I put something else in there. But things like Swiss chard, lettuce, my tomatoes are gangbusters right now. Strawberry plants grow well. I think these things were actually developed for strawberry plants originally. Pretty much can grow anything in there that you want to grow. Now, you do have to use growth strategy. You have to think, okay, well, if this is a really big plant, you may not want this on top. You might want it down below so it doesn't shadow everything that's above. Be careful on what plants you mix, because I have a half tomato and half strawberry stand, and the tomatoes are just ridiculous big, and they're growing around back over top of my strawberries. And my strawberries, I have to clip back the tomatoes to keep them off so they can get sun and all that. So you have to just kind of pay attention to what you're planting and how, and formulate a strategy that you think will work. Now that I've done it, I'm going to know more about what to do in the future. But at first it was a little bit like, oh, oops, I shouldn't have put like this oregano underneath the Swiss chard because it was just getting shadowed out. Water consumption, once the plants get big, can be more frequent than you expect. I was doing initially like, filling these tanks, and they would last for 2 weeks. And now I would say with my tomato and strawberry stand, if I get to a week completely, that's lucky. I'm usually hearing, a dry pump hit about every 5-6 days with my tomato plants. Now, I've got like 80 fruit growing on the tomato plants. I've got vines everywhere. So they're taking water, and they're a water intensive plant. So they're really sucking it down. But you have to put more in there than you think. And this is a patio system. Now, if you get like a deck system or something with a bigger reservoir, of course, you're going to be more autopilot for longer periods of time. And it's not to say you couldn't take this patio system and adapt some watering, arrangement that would give you more runtime. But, I don't mind, going out and mixing up a batch of chemicals and putting it in there like once every 5 days. It's not a big deal. Okay, so this is one place where I would say I'd rather hit myself in the forehead with a hammer than set this timer. It's just the worst. And it's not like a bad product. It's not like they're selling you something that they shouldn't have sold you. It's just there's not many things out there that do what it's supposed to do and do it well, and it's easy to set up. That's a good price. I mean, that's the thing. That's the balance you're trying to strike. So this timer is kind of like circa 1980 digital game type setup, beep, 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 set. You got to have these sequences of clicks and bumps to get this thing set. Because what you're doing is you're telling this water tower to come on at 8 o'clock in the morning and turn off at 8:02. And then you wait 2 more hours and you say at 10 o'clock, come on for 2 minutes and go back off. And then at 12 o'clock, come on for 2 minutes and go back off. So you're watering, frequently throughout the day for short periods of time. So that sets up a lot of timer input, which is maniacal. It drives you nuts. Now the timers have battery backup, but if you unplug them for too long, the battery goes dead and you lose your settings. So that's a drag. What I did, since I'm kind of a geek and I have smart home stuff, I bought 2 smart home outlets that I could get into with software and just type in the timer events and do it that way. And my pumps are plugged right into these smart home outlets or outlet adapters or whatever. So you'll just have to find your way there. That's something that's not going to be, a solution that you can come up with right away, but something you might want to consider when you're getting these is just, get a glass of wine, get out your reading glasses and relax, find your Zen place and set the timer, because it is a trying ordeal. Anyway, I don't want to keep yammering. Let's go out and let's look at some of these plants and see how things are doing. Okay, here you go. Here's my plant stands after several months of growth. You can see I have different plants in different pots. Over here you got a couple of strawberries coming up on the strawberry plants. And this is my borage. Used to be a lot smaller, but that thing got huge. That's one of those plant management things you have to do. That's eventually going to sprout into some purple flowers. This is a pretty healthy stand of sage. The leaves curl a little on that. And got some thyme here. It's doing okay. It's not awesome. And this is mint. I think you could grow mint on the top of my head, literally. That stuff just grows. And here's some tomato plants that I transferred over from the other side. But here's cilantro I harvested like a week ago, and it's already almost back, and that stuff just keeps on giving. But you can see the clippings. I've taken quite a bit of that out of there. Got some arugula down below. I'm not a big arugula fan, but I grow it anyway, and then I cut off some of the stalks, but I got a nice pretty flower on top here. That's cool. This is my little, they call it a little Tom tomato plant, and this is my little cherry tomato plant. And it's getting ready to put out quite a few tomatoes. So we'll see how those look here in a few weeks. But yeah, they're getting to be decent size. I think they'll be about 1 inch round, but quite a few on there. Now this is the chard, Swiss chard, and that stuff really grows really nicely in here. You can see I've clipped it several times, and leaves are healthy, they grow fast, and that stuff really does really good in this planting container. And I've got a little oregano back here. The oregano is about medium speed, and this curly basil is not awesome, but it's growing. And like I say, some things really do well in here, and some things don't do as well. The tomatoes on the other side, they're doing really good. I have clusters of tomatoes growing all over these vines. These are indeterminates. They're going to get, I think, fruit sizes of 2 to 3 inches, and they're just growing like gangbusters. But I do have to do some in-house pollination, because these little flowers that eventually turn into tomatoes have to be cross-pollinated. I think each plant can pollinate itself. I use a little pollinator brush, and I just touch the flowers from one to the other and kind of touch them all over different plants, and do the same thing with the strawberries, and that's usually enough. I'm like my own little honeybee. So this is the rolled lip I was talking about too. You can see here it's got a real nice rounded over edge, and it really helps the vines when they grow out to kind of roll over and not get kinked and cut.